for our calculation purposes, we're using 6.5 years. Now, this is the methodology of valuing those options for the purpose of cost.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, it may be the case that if you're granted some employee stock options and you know you're only going to be around for 2 years, that option is worth a lot less to you.
Yes.
Okay. Whereas if you're pretty confident that you're going to be there for 10 years because you've been there for 15 years already, you can probably perceive that option to have more value than the guy who's going to leave within. Okay. So this here shows how the values change at various prices of the stock and at different time remainings under those assumptions.
Right.
Okay.
So
Will you change the
next slide? Yeah,
okay.
that's fine.
Okay, this slide does nothing more than separate what we call the time premium from the intrinsic value.
Okay.
And as you can see, when the stock is 20, that is when it's granted, its value is totally time premium. There's no intrinsic value. The intrinsic value, we're defining it as the difference between the exercise price and the market value of the stock.
So since they're the same, there is no difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So as the stock would go from 20 to 40, it still has some time premium, and and the intrinsic value is 20, and if you were talking about 1,000 options, it's $20,000. Okay. Now, as you can see, the maximum value of the time premium is the day of grant, and then every day after that, time is reduced and it wears down the options. And if the stock goes way up, the time premium gets substantially lower, as you can see.
Yeah.
Now, had I used a different assumption about the volatility, or had I used a lower assumption, then the time premium would be less.
Yeah.
And you do have stocks that have lower volatilities. You have stocks that have substantially higher volatility.
Yeah.
So anyway, that
Okay. So
answers
that basically tells a little bit about the value. So we have two aspects of value. There's the intrinsic value and there's the time value.
Right.
And so, and these things, they change over time and according to the thing. So as we said, because of if the value of the stock rises, then that's raising the intrinsic value. On the other hand, because time is passing, the time value is declining over the term of the option. Okay, so we just have about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
Now, just briefly, how does hedging fit into this? But we're not going to get into depth because we're going to cover another interview. But
All right, good. Can we put up the last graph, or the second to last graph, the fourth graph, please? Or the third graph, which is the fourth slide.
so is this the one you wanted? This is the theoretical and sale
Right,
impact.
right. Here we've separated not only the time premium from the intrinsic value, we've broken up the intrinsic value into two parts to illustrate what happens when you make exercises prior to expiration.
Okay.
Okay? Because at expiration, there is no time premium, or right before expiration. You know, and for example, Steve Jobs in 2007 exercised a whole bunch of employee stock options one day before they expired, and there was no time premium. But when you exercise, for example, if you have the right to buy the stock at 20 and it's trading at 50, and you have 3.5 years to go to expiration, therefore meaning you held them for perhaps 7 years or six years, and you exercise the right to buy the stock at 20 when it's trading at 50, you're still forfeiting some time premium. And you're effectively forfeiting back to the company. And you're also getting a premature payment of taxes.
Yes.
Okay? And you see the purple part on the slide shows the tax, and the green is what you take home after all is said and done.
Okay.
What we try to do is say, hold on to these options as long as you can, because we want to avoid that premature exercise, which forfeits the time premium and incurs an early tax.
Yes.
And now, if they raise the taxes, it's even going to be more of a penalty. So what do you do if you want to reduce the risk? Well, you can hedge them. Hedge 'em means sell calls or buy exchange traded puts.
Okay.
Okay, and what do? You open a brokerage account,
Okay.
and you can go to Schwab. You can go to other places that really are focusing on electronic executions from your computer,
Okay.
and that have an interest in facilitating options trading.
Okay.
All right.
So we're going to go into more depth on that in another interview. So hopefully folks will be able to watch that. And so let's then briefly just talk about the premature exercise. Why you wouldn't want to go ahead with that. I think you had a summary and a slide again.
Yeah. Or put up the last slide if you don't mind. Okay. So premature exercise is a pejorative term that I use.
Okay.
It's saying that you're doing it too early. Okay. Now, exercising them too early is when you have substantial time premium remaining, because when you exercise, that time premium goes, and it doesn't just go out the window, it's effectively forfeited back to the company. Okay? And you also get the compensation income tax on the intrinsic value, because the gain is measured by what the stock is trading for and what the exercise price is on the day you exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And you get a tax, and a good part of that is withheld.
Yes.
Okay? So what I'd say is to do like Steve Jobs and Larry Ellison and James Dimon from J.P. Morgan,
Mm-hmm.
and John Chambers does.
Mm-hmm.
They held them to the end. They
Mm-hmm.
hold them for 9 years and 10 months, and and these guys get the best advice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So.
All right, John. Well, we just have about a minute left. I think we did pretty well as far as zooming through a lot of material in a brief time. Folks, obviously, this is a very complex area, but I don't shy away from complex areas for this show. I want to thank you again for joining us for Financial Insider Weekly. I hope you can catch the next show with John and me, where we talk about hedging strategies related to these options in a little more detail. Until then, I hope to see you next time on Financial Insider Weekly.
Thank you, Michael.